Big, massive, humongous, aggressive, butch and tough are some of the words that come to mind when you look at the Isuzu D-Max V-Cross. However, do these words come to mind when you're driving it? Now we're behind the wheel of the Isuzu D-Max V-Cross, and this is the best part about this vehicle because this is where you have the most fun. And with such a vehicle, I think fun is somewhere high on your priority list, and you just can't go wrong with this vehicle if having fun is at the top of your priority list. And well, let's start off with the engine. It is powered by a 1.9 litre turbo diesel inline 4-cylinder engine, and well, it puts out 163 bhp at 3600 rpm and 360 Nm between 2000 and 2500 rpm. Now that's a lot of power and torque at such low revs, and well, quite simply, Isuzu has tuned this, especially with the automatic gearbox. Now we are driving the top spec version, as I've already told you, and this has the 6-speed automatic gearbox as standard. You do not get the Z Prestige version with the manual gearbox. So Isuzu has tuned this gearbox and engine combination in a way that the moment you prod on the throttle, the engine likes to go up to 2000 rpm. It will immediately settle down at 2000 rpm and the gearbox catches up. And what that means is it immediately hits peak torque without any delay. And like for example, I'm doing 60 kilometers per hour right now, and if I prod on the throttle, the engine is at 2000 rpm but my speed still climbing. Engine is still at 2000 rpm, speed's climbing, and I'm 85 kilometers per hour. Now that's how Isuzu has tuned this engine and gearbox combo. It's a very nice drive, of course. However, if you're an enthusiast, well, we would definitely suggest you go one variant lower and get the manual 4-wheel drive variant, because that is where you'll have the most fun. Speaking about the engine, it is very tractable. It's got loads of power, low down torque, so there is a lot you can do with this engine. This engine is a very capable engine. There are several Isuzu D-Max V-Cross owners who have tuned it in the aftermarket and are getting up to 500 Nm, more than 500 Nm of torque out of this very engine, and that is astounding. Such levels of torque and power coming out of this engine, well, you can do a lot with it, and that includes going on the highway and cruising at high speeds. Now we did test this vehicle over longer distances on the highway and in the city. On the highway, cruising at 100 kilometers per hour is a piece of cake for this vehicle because the Isuzu D-Max V-Cross does it at just 1600 rpm, so it's barely over idle and you're still doing 100 kilometers per hour. If you're doing 120 kilometers per hour, that's just 2000 rpm, and that is just phenomenal for covering longer distances. Now you might think that the Isuzu D-Max V-Cross, because of its weight and size, fuel efficiency is really low, but surprisingly out on the highway doing 100 kilometers per hour, it gave us an average fuel efficiency of around 13 kilometers per liter, and that is just fantastic for a vehicle this size. Of course, we were at moderate throttle, just sticking to 110 kilometers per hour, but those are great figures for a vehicle of this size. And right now we are in the urban jungle, we are in the city, and in such places, well, the Isuzu is a little cumbersome to drive, and that is because of its size. Of course, you have to trade off something for a vehicle this big, this huge, and well, that is your drivability and your drive experience in the city. Yes, it is big and you feel its size only when you're driving in the city. At the beginning of the video, I had asked the question, do you think of the words big, large, humongous, massive, aggressive, butch and tough inside? Well, from behind the steering wheel, you definitely feel those words. Of course, to not as large an extent as you would when you see it from the outside. You do feel like you're sitting above everyone else, higher than everyone else, and that is a great feeling to have, especially if you're going around in town or even on the highway, because this is something that would intimidate a lot of people, especially if you're driving a low slung sedan or a hatchback and you see this coming at you at speed in the rearview mirror. Well, you would want to get out of the way. Coming back to the driving experience in the city, well, the size does tend to grow on you. You eventually get used to it, and well, turning radius is not bad. It can maneuver through tight spaces. However, it takes some calculative maneuvering to do that. You just can't be harsh with it, and you just can't take it anywhere you want without calculating what you want to do, without planning your steps while driving it. Now coming back to the powertrain, now this is where the Isuzu D-Max V-Cross really stands out because it has proper 4-wheel drive. Now you do get a selector knob here, and you have on the fly switching between two-wheel drive and four-wheel drive. For example, I'm on tarmac right now driving at 40 kilometers per hour. Let me just take my speed up to 60 kilometers per hour, and yes, I'm at 60 kilometers per hour, and I'm in two-wheel drive right now, that is rear wheel drive. I'm switching to 4 high, and I get a notification 4H on the MID in the instrument cluster, and well, I get the four-wheel drive icon blinking a few times, and then it becomes constant, and right now I'm in four-wheel drive. It's as simple as that, and it's just the same process when you're switching from 4 high to 2 high. So back from four-wheel drive to two-wheel drive, and I get the two-wheel drive 2H moniker on the MID, and yeah, we are now back in two-wheel drive. So it's as simple as that. However, switching to 4 low does require you to stop, get the gearbox in neutral, and then you switch to 4 low. You just have to press the knob and turn it to the right, and then it switches to 4 low. And in 4 low you can basically conquer anything. This drivetrain is very well capable of taking on any sort of terrain you throw at it. We did drive it at an off-road park. It was excellent. It went through the bumps. The only place where it does struggle a bit is with the breakover angle, because quite frankly the side steps that you see on this vehicle, they are the first ones to touch the ground. If those side steps weren't there, well, this would have conquered basically anything you throw at it. Of course, you've got lots of aftermarket options also. If you're planning to take it off-road and in a serious way, you've got lots of suspension kits, diff locks, etc, etc. The whole list goes on and on for this vehicle. So if you're looking to go off-road in an Isuzu D-Max V-Cross, well, certainly this car will take care of you. Speaking of the off-road ability of the Isuzu D-Max V-Cross, well, it is a very capable vehicle. Let me tell you right off the bat that this car can do a lot off-road. The biggest disadvantage comes in the form of the breakover angle, which comes as a result of the side steps that you saw earlier, and I did tell you that if you are planning to take it off-road, you might as well remove them. It is those things that make it a little slower off-road. You have to be more careful, and yes, we did end up touching it at a few places, but otherwise this vehicle has excellent off-road performance, be it the articulation, be it rock crawling. The low down torque, the grunt of the diesel engine just keeps you going irrespective of the terrain you're driving on. So that's just excellent off-road ability. Now it's time to talk about the on-road handling, because this is something that the Isuzu D-Max V-Cross will see a lot. The steering is pretty heavy at all speeds. Yes, it does weigh up even at higher speeds, but it is pretty heavy even at really low speeds. So that does make it a little cumbersome to maneuver in the city, and well, it takes a bit of getting used to, especially if you're used to smaller cars or low slung sedans with light steering at slow speeds. Well, this will certainly feel a lot heavier. Apart from that, well, when you turn the steering wheel, it is quick to respond, but there is quite a bit of body roll, and that brings us to the suspension setup. At the rear, you've got 3 leaf springs. Yes, it has age-old leaf springs on it, and it does require leaf springs because at the back you can carry lots of load, and with such a payload, well, you do need leaf springs to get that load around. If you use coil springs, well, the vehicle is going to just squat. The leaf springs will keep it stable. So this vehicle is more stable under load than when empty. And at the front, you've got independent double wishbone suspension, and of course it's coilover springs, and that is where it is really soft. So it's a very unique mixture. So you've got rigid leaf springs at the rear, you've got very soft suspension up front. So when you brake, it does dive pretty hard, and then when you turn the wheel a bit, you feel quite a bit of body roll. All the passengers will feel a lot of body roll in this vehicle, and that is primarily due to the front suspension. However, it is this front suspension that keeps you in utmost comfort when you are negotiating through bumps, or you're taking it over undulations and lots of potholes that you commonly find on Indian roads. And it is this front suspension that keeps it well articulated even in the most hardcore off-road situations. Well, it does absorb a lot of bumps. The ride is excellent in this, and and that is thanks to the front suspension. It does take some getting used to because it does bounce around quite a bit. You do feel it bumpy. It's not bumpy, it's bouncy to be exact, because when you take it over a speed bump or a speed breaker, well, it just doesn't go over and settle. It does a bit of a bouncing action, and well, that is pretty humorous to watch actually. Well, now that that's done, it's time for us to talk about the overall comfort and drivability of this vehicle. It is very easy to live with if you're okay with having a large vehicle. If you do not want a large vehicle, this definitely isn't for you. You could go for a smaller, more compact four-wheel drive vehicles that are available. If you're okay with having a large vehicle though, the Isuzu D-Max V-Cross is a perfect vehicle. It can handle anything you throw at it, and well, we have been having a ball of a time driving the Isuzu D-Max V-Cross. Finally, coming down to the brakes, you get disc brakes up front and drum brakes at the rear, and what that means is it's got a potent braking combination. Of course, all-wheel disc brakes would have been much better. However, this is more than sufficient for a vehicle of this size for its application, and well, the brakes are pretty powerful. It slows down from high speeds really quick. It is very effective. In fact, it's so effective that you feel the front end collapsing completely when you brake hard. It just dives down, and that is something that is just a characteristic of the Isuzu D-Max V-Cross. In terms of safety, you've got lots of safety features in this. You've got airbags, you've got your ABS, you've got your traction control, etc. So all of this does keep you safe irrespective of the driving conditions. And finally, we come down to the comfort. Well, comfort wise, this vehicle is very comfortable, especially for those in front, the driver and the front passenger. The Isuzu D-Max V-Cross is very comfortable. In this top spec variant, the driver even gets power adjusted seats, so that is yet another comfort feature that is very useful, especially when driving and you want to adjust your driving position. It is very easy to do so. And well, the storage spaces, like I showed you earlier, a lot of storage spaces mean that it's that much more practical, that much more functional, and that makes this car so much more livable with. It is utterly reliable. Of course, yes, Isuzu doesn't have as many service centers in India as we wished it would have. However, given the reliability and track record of the Isuzu D-Max V-Cross, I don't think you would be needing to visit this service center that often. Well, on that note, it's time for us to end our driving impressions of the Isuzu D-Max V-Cross, and well, we're just gonna keep driving and have some more fun with this, because this is quite an engaging car to drive. You should drive one and you would know for yourself. Butch, tough and unbreakable are some of the words that come to mind when you look at the Isuzu D-Max V-Cross from any angle, and this is especially true from the front end, and this is one of those vehicles that you would want to get out of the way if you see it coming at you in your rearview mirror. So what's it like up front? So you've got this huge bonnet with lots of muscular lines on it, and then up front you've got this massive grille with lots of chrome on it. Now this variant, the variant that we have here, the top spec variant, has lots of chrome on it, and well, if you're someone who loves chrome, well, this certainly is the vehicle for you, because the entire grille is made up of chrome, and this includes the Isuzu badge. The grille is flanked by the LED headlamps on both ends. You've got the LED DRL that is very unique as well, so this L-shaped LED DRL really gives it the signature look up front, and you've got this chrome strip that connects the headlamp to the grille, and so the entire front end does look like it's made up of chrome. And as I said, if you love chrome, well, this certainly is the car for you. You go towards the bottom a little and then you see the fog lamps. The fog lamps are flanked by the chrome garnish, of course, so yes, there is quite a lot of chrome, as I already mentioned. Now move over to the sides and then you will notice the flared wheel arches. Now this makes it look really muscular and bulky. This is what gives the vehicle the bulk that it already has. The first thing that your eyes will notice are the 18-inch alloy wheels. Now these wheels look really stylish. They are of course diamond cut dual tone wheels, and well, there are multiple spokes, so well, they do grab quite a lot of attention, and well, they do look fancy indeed. Now the entire vehicle looks very muscular. It is massive. The Isuzu D-Max V-Cross is an off-road ready vehicle, and the first thing that you will notice on the side profile is a hindrance to off-roading, and that is this accessory. So this body accessory at the bottom here is an optional extra. You can add it on, but we would suggest you go for rock sliders instead, because that will help you actually take the vehicle off-road than just be around and look good. However, this does look good with this body trim. You've got the chrome door handle handles as well. These are really thick door handles and they look really nice indeed. This particular car we have here with us today is equipped with the D-Box with spoiler, and that does make it look very sporty indeed. However, it does tend to take it a bit off character. It's a pickup truck, and a pickup truck is meant to be seen with an open bed or probably with some accessories at the rear, but this one covers it up completely. Yes, do not mistake us, it makes it very practical indeed. You can lock up the rear end completely. However, it does make it look a little more suited towards urban usage rather than being suited for tough off-road usage. And that was our take on the front and side profiles of the Isuzu D-Max V-Cross. There's a lot more happening at the rear, so let's go check out the rear end of the Isuzu D-Max V-Cross. The key is out. Now let me try it. Finally. So you get hydraulic assist to open this lid, and as you can see, it's lined with some soft material. Looks really nice, and yes, that is the load bay. It's been raining quite a bit, so there is some water in there. And now let me show you how you open the tailgate. So it is pretty heavy because, well, it is heavy duty, and well, you can do this with this. And how's that for boot space? Well, Isuzu claims you can load up 180 kilograms in here, but as you and I both know, you can load up a lot more in here. Those are just the official figures. Well, we've seen people loading up motorcycles in here. We've got people loading up tents in here, going out camping. And well, if you just want to take it somewhere off-road and where no other vehicle can go, and then you just want to open up the tailgate and sit down like this, you can do that. Well, it's a very versatile vehicle and a very tough vehicle, I must mention. I'll show you how tough or easy it is to close the boot lid. So the tailgate is pretty easy. And then now it's time to close this D-Box. And okay, this side is closed and this side no. So I'm gonna have to open it up again and bang it. Yeah, there we have it. This is what you pay for having a rugged vehicle, but it's a good feeling, to be honest. Well, if you're someone who's looking at a very soft and easy to use, nice vehicle, well, this certainly isn't for you, and definitely not one with the D-Box and spoiler accessory. However, if you're looking for a tough vehicle that can do anything, pick up any load and get going, and also cruise at highway speeds, well, this certainly can do the job for you. And now it's time to show you what the insides are like. Is it premium? Is it rugged? Is it a mix of both? Let's get inside. You join us inside the cabin of the Isuzu D-Max V-Cross, and well, in here is a pretty utilitarian cabin. Now let me start off with the upholstery. You get premium brown and grey upholstery on the seats in here. Now this is the top end model, and this is available only in the top end model. The rest of the variants get black material on the seats, and that is something we might have liked as well. Now let's come to the dashboard, because this is very interesting indeed. Now it's more utilitarian and practical than premium and luxurious in here. So you've got a very practical steering wheel, very utilitarian. There's no flat bottom, there's none of the fancy stuff. Even the buttons on the steering wheel that control the music system as well as cruise control, they are very practical and very utilitarian. They also feel tough, like you can even bang onto them and then nothing's gonna happen. That's how tough it looks, and that's how tough it feels. You do get the silver insert, and that's pretty much it when it comes to the aesthetic appeal. Everything else is functional in here, and functional are also the stocks behind the steering wheel. So these stocks take care of the lighting. You do not get automatic headlamps in here. You have to turn it on with a good old lever, and then you've got the wiper levers, and then you've got buttons on both the sides to control the MID. Now that brings us to instrumentation. Instrumentation is handled by analog digital setup. So you've got tachometer to the left, to the right you've got a speedometer, and in between you've got an LCD MID. Now this is not a color MID, it's a black and white LCD, and yet it displays a lot of information. Like right now I'm looking at the engine temperature, the fuel gauge, and also the gear position indicator. You've got the date as well as the ambient temperature, and right now it's displaying the range. So I can switch between the display modes using the button on the stock. So if I go left, it shows the elapsed time, average speed, distance. You've got the instantaneous fuel efficiency, average fuel efficiency, trip meter, odometer, etc. So a lot of information being displayed on this gauge right here. It looks really nice. Yes, a color MID definitely would have made it feel more premium, and we'd have wanted that as well. However, this looks very practical and very utilitarian, so that pretty much sums up the instrumentation. Now it's time to move our attention to the rest of the dashboard, and the first thing you would notice in here are the number of cubby holes and storage spaces that Isuzu has provided, and that pretty much says a lot about what this vehicle is and who is it targeted at. It's not for those who want utmost luxury, it's for those who will actually use every bit in this vehicle. So I'll quickly open up all the storage spaces in here. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, and then you've got the cup holders that are cooled by the AC vents on either side. You've got 2 more cup holders in here, and then you've got a little pocket in here for the driver to store probably a wallet. A wallet would fit in here perfectly. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cubby holes, and also you've got 4 cup holders for the people in front, and that is something astonishing because we do not find this level of practicality in modern cars anymore. Now it's time to close everything up, and I'll show you what the infotainment system is like. Here we have a 7-inch touchscreen. This too is black and white, it does not have a color display, and this is pretty basic in nature. So you've got a few buttons on either side that control the power on off, and then the volume controls. You've got the previous and next track buttons, and then you've got the audio, phone, and information settings. So you click on information, you go into the settings, and then you have a few vehicular settings in here, but other than that there's nothing much. And then you go to the phone, you can dial a number from the screen and your phone will make the call. That is available. Yes, you can connect your phone through Bluetooth, and then you got your radio. That's pretty much it. Then you got your USB and aux. This rubber cover that covers the USB and the aux ports, it feels it could have been of better quality for sure. Other than that, well, that's pretty much it when it comes to infotainment. There is no Android Auto and Apple CarPlay on this model. However, if you are looking to purchase an Isuzu D-Max V-Cross right now in 2022, well, you do get a bigger screen, a color screen, 9-inch touchscreen. Now this is 7-inch, you do get a 9-inch right now on the new model, and you also get Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, and that pretty much sums up the infotainment. Sound is reproduced through 6 speakers, so you've got 1 each in the front doors, 1 each in the rear doors, and then you've got the tweeters placed in the roof, and that is a very interesting placement indeed. It kind of gives you a surround sound. Now we do desire better quality speakers in the Isuzu D-Max V-Cross, however they do their job in a decent manner. They are average at best. Now we would want better quality speakers, especially at the price point this car comes in at. Now let's get to the air conditioning. Well, this is also very unique indeed, because this is a setup we haven't seen on many cars. You get a rotary style setup right here. All the buttons for the air conditioning controls are in this circle, and that does look a bit odd, and even to use it is a little odd because it does take some getting used to. Like for example, if you're driving and then you want to reduce the temperature, increase temperature control is pretty easy with this knob. However, if you want the fan speed or you want to change the modes, well, those are buttons right here, and they are a little difficult to get used to, at least in the initial stages. And also another odd thing is that around this circle there is a huge panel, and that entire panel is left vacant, and that is a little odd space. This could have been a much better setup if it was horizontal. Now moving below, you've got a 12-volt socket as well as a USB port to charge up your devices. There are more blank spaces to add more switches. Now this is a utilitarian vehicle. You can add accessories like diff lockers. You've got more lights to be added, so the switches for the same can be placed in here. And then finally you've got this little cubby hole right here. Now we cannot make out what exactly this is for because of its size. Now if you were to say that you would place your phone in here, well, your phone doesn't really fit in any way, so we can't really make out what that's for. If it was for the phone, well, it should have been a little bigger than that. Then you've got your gear lever. Now this of course is a top spec model, and it comes with the automatic gearbox, so you've got a proper old school automatic gearbox lever. There's no dial or any fancy stuff, so there is a button right here to shift, and well, it's a proper feeling gear lever. And then you've got this, the shift on fly 4-wheel drive control knob. So right now it's in 2H, which is rear wheel drive. Then you got the 4H, which you can shift to on the go, and then you got 4L. Of course, you got cup holders like I mentioned earlier, and then the armrest feels pretty good. It's nice, it gives you a very comfortable driving position, especially if you're cruising on the highway. You don't really need your hand on the gear lever, or you put it into automatic mode, you put it into D mode and you're driving, you don't really need to touch the gear lever, so you just place your hand on the armrest and well, you're good to go. So that's pretty much it when it comes to the interior. And then you've got a cubbyhole in here, of course, and finally you get a proper manual handbrake. There's no button or switch anymore for your handbrake. This one is a proper manual. Now that also says a lot about what this vehicle is meant for and what it's intended for. So that's pretty much it when it comes to the interior. That there is an Isuzu D-Max V-Cross with an off-road motorcycle in the back, and it's on my t-shirt, and it also says adventure ready, and that is the exact term I would use to describe the Isuzu D-Max V-Cross, because this vehicle will do exactly what you ask it to without breaking into a sweat, and it can do anything. You can take it onto the highway, it can cruise comfortably at triple-digit speeds, you can load up the back with lots of stuff, you can accessorize it to the max, you've got lots of aftermarket parts for it. In fact, you can turn it into anything you'd want to. So, well, that is our review of the new Isuzu D-Max V-Cross. Well, we did wish for the new model to come to the Indian market for the next gen. However, we might have to wait for a bit longer. Until then though, this can still hold its own in the segment, even with new competition arriving. And that brings us to an end of this video. Do let us know in the comments what you think of this vehicle, why it still appeals to you despite being in the Indian market for such a long time. And well, do share your thoughts on the Isuzu D-Max V-Cross. This is Stephen Neal signing off for Drive Spark. Stay safe and drive safe.